Hello.
So hi everyone, and welcome back to Life Force with Lindsay. I'm so glad that you're here because today's guest, well, let's just say he's not just a music producer, he's a sound alchemist, a channel and creator of some of the most iconic sound frequencies that I believe that most will have heard, whether we realise it or not. So there was a movie called The Lost Boys, and I have the privilege of having G-Tom Mac with me, who was the music producer for Cry Little Sister. So G-Tom, thank you very much. It's such a privilege to have you with us today.
My honor, my dear.
Good. So G, I wanted to get to the root. Or the first flicker and the moment where sound stopped just being sound and became something more for you. So do you remember the first time that you fell in love with music? Maybe it was an instrument in your hand, or maybe it was a song that vibrated through your walls. What was that for you?
Interesting you bring that up, because I was just in the documentary called How Did I Get Here? There's a bit in the beginning where coming to America for the first time when I was around 12, 13, we ended up in a town called Wichita, Kansas, which is middle of America. Yeah. And I felt very, out of place, just because I had an accent, had a Brummie accent at that, coming from Birmingham. So there was a kid in my school who was the only black kid in the school, and we got on really well. I think it was a lot because of all of the things that were going on, the prejudice and racism that was going on. And I didn't really have a lot of friends. I think a lot of the reason I didn't have friends because they couldn't understand a word I was saying. So you'd think I'd been Scottish or something. I'm not that bad.
I was going to say I can resonate with you.
Sorry, I just had to go there. But anyway, he had gotten 2 tickets to go see the singer James Brown. And I don't know if you're familiar with him, he's pretty iconic. But so we played, I went with him. My mom and dad were, totally fine with that. And his mom drove us there. And there was an all black crowd. I think there was about 2 other white kids in the audience and myself. And I was just sort of transfixed watching this incredible performer. It was just unbelievable, and I thought to myself, well, I want to do that, and good. I, being, how we are in our part of the world, we love R&B music, and
I love R&B music.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I think us Brits, Irish, and Scottish, we gravitated to soul music because it's just the way we are. And when in the movie The Commitments, they say, I think they say the Irish are the blacks of Europe, but I believe all three countries are the blacks of Europe, really. Yeah, but anyway, it just became whatever that is. I have to figure out how to do that, because that was just something that just made me feel, let me know that was inside of me. No, I'm not black, but there was a soul factor in there. And the Beatles had all of those, all those bands had already surfaced and became famous, but they were really throwing back to America what they created, So that's sort of like, and I just happened to be here before any of them got here. Really. Wow. So anyway, but as far as the first instrument, my parents, we certainly weren't by any means wealthy, but we had, working class, and they I had to get a guitar, and then there was a bloke down the road. I got this guitar, this red Les Paul Jr. that I just cherished, and I would just stay in my room the entire time. But I figured that that was a way to go. And then there was a bloke down the road who was a very, very good guitar player. He was about 19, and I ended up being in his band later on. And but I'm just giving you a glimpse as to, you know, the spark of what got me into music. I mean, music was always around the house, you know.
Yeah. So music for me, like, it deeply resonates, and for us, it gets us through heartbreak, or it gets us up off our chair, it gets us moving. There's something that's just about sound and sound as an energy. But before I go into sound as an energy and different instruments and stuff, I just wanted to touch on, like, when you're strumming and with your guitar, and if you go back to that time that you had this deep desire in you, one through inspiration, through watching someone, an icon, and then just sitting with your instrument. So was that something that you had to learn over a long period of time, or was that something that when you held it, it just kind of channeled through you?
Well, that's a very good question, and I just believed that something. When I was a young boy, they didn't know what it was called, so I start with that. But it was in later years, it's called dissociation, which you don't feel like you're in your body, and there's a child that you're not. It came on for the first time when I was about 9 years of age, and when you're a child, you don't know what's going on. You just feel like you're out of your body, and it frightened the daylights out of me. So I would, you know, the spell wouldn't last probably but a minute, but in that minute felt like an hour, you know, if not longer. It's just because it was, and I really do believe that, you know, there was some sort of, I felt a connection.
I hear you.
And, you know, I mean, obviously we live in these bodies, you know, the soul lives in these bodies that have these the chemicals in the brain, how, you know, the electrical factors of what goes on. But I think it was something, you know, they never really could describe, they really could not diagnose what it was. They thought I had petit mal, which is a slight form of epilepsy. But it wasn't until much later that I found out that it's called dissociation, and other people have it too. I just happened to have a really strong dose of it, which really took me it wasn't like I couldn't recognize people or where everything was in place, but it was otherworldly, you know. And the transformation of it was just frightening at the time. But music was the one thing that grounded me. And it was the one, I remember playing my first gig when I was about 13 years of age. I was in this band that were much older musicians. And, you know, generally it would come on if I was getting the nerves would get going or what have you. But but when I played my first gig at what's called a Catholic youth organization dance, and it was just, you know, a lot of teenagers and packed out place, and there was I was afraid I was going to have that spell, and I didn't have it. So that really let not only me know, that my parents also knew that there's something going on in the connection of what music is and myself. And I never was, you know, and just in mentioning James Brown, that was impactful. But then it became, you know, as I grew into music, I was always touched by certain classical pieces of music, Mahler for one, and you know, and jazz, you know, and just everything that morphed my sort of sensibilities and my emotional factor. Within.
So it's interesting that you say that, because like for what we do, like I run a holistic healing hub here in Scotland, JTOM, and that was after I went through I can kind of resonate with you, not necessarily with the disassociation, but felt I went through a period where I was aware I was leaving my body when I fell asleep, which kind of pushed me into my mission and allowed me to kind of see us for what we really are. But from a grounding perspective, it's a nice way to look at music, because we all talk about like being out in nature, and people have got their different muses. But for you, it's that pull towards music that really kind of brings you back to earth, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I think that, as I went on, there's been moments where I would have this semi-dissociation where I feel like I wasn't really writing the piece of music. There was just something, and even you mentioned Lost Boys. I remember writing the chorus to that, and it felt like I was just this vessel, and it was happening. I knew what, musically what I was doing. It wasn't like, okay, somebody just now took over, but the consciousness was there. But it was this sort of very indescribable feeling that especially when I, all those little bits and parts with the choir and all of that stuff, So, I think there's something to do. There's times when I've been asleep and I wake up and I come up with this melody and stuff, and it just comes. Generally speaking, it's something that's almost like I didn't write it, but I did.
Yeah.
So.
But that's someone having like a deeper connection, if you will, to what it is that you do. So how has music then shaped your life, G-Tom? How is that? Well, obviously you're over stateside just now, and we know that obviously you're heading up Comic-Con over there on Monday. But how else has it helped shape your life into the life that you have today?
Well, I think it on a spiritual level. I mean, just my life in general. What do you mean having this? Yeah. Well, I think that there's always been a deepness within me that knows that this is all very temporary, and to be here in this life, to be able to just, I have a purpose, and it's like, of being able to, I mean, the amount of fan mail I get, and there's always the typical ones of just, are you a vampire, or are you this or whatever, but there's thousands.
What do you answer to that, by the way?
How do I answer that? I don't. I just basically, with all due respect to the fans, And so, I mean, I get some mad ones, they're just sort of, really, you are real, to write a song like that, you have to, you must be attached to Satan and all that crap, and I'm going like, well, it's a bit of a laugh, really, I'm attached to whatever is emotional, and that doesn't, with what the emotions are like, I don't believe in that, heaven and hell stuff. I just don't think, have it drilled into me. My parents were pretty cool. They weren't throwing that down my throat. But going to school, there was always, growing up with like, oh, if you do this, you do that, it's a load of rubbish. Hey, honestly, if we do bad things are going to happen to you in this life.
By natural law.
I don't know what it's going to be like in the next lifetime. What if I was completely, a madman of just doing the wrong thing by humanity, then I would just, I would deserve to be thrown into something, another life, if you will. I don't know how it works. I've got a lot of different theories about that, but it's the present is what I stay in. I try to stay in I'm always trying to stay in the present. Not easy with the multiples of things going on in my creative career, and also there's a business part to all of this stuff as well, which I try to be very mindful and not, I do have people that work with that stuff, but I think that to answer your question about the performing live aspect of it is always intriguing, because you get to meet the fans, some of them anyway, and they tell you how much, getting back to the fan letters, but I've been able to be useful in my being, and that is creating music that has affected thousands and thousands of people. And I'm not exaggerating at all when I say that, because I obviously can't read all these letters, but I've read enough to know that, for example, two 20-year-old and an 18-year-old, two sisters, her younger sister passed away. This was actually a handwritten letter that had written to me some time ago, before there were emails. And I remember that being one of the first ones I ever read. And it said, just wanted to let you know how deep your song, Cry Little Sister, has meant to my sister and myself. She passed away of leukemia about a year ago. And upon her, as she was passing, all she wanted was to have her headphones on and that song on repeat. So I thought, when I read that, and she said, if you're ever having a bad day, just know you did something in the best way possible for my dear sister. And I thought, I mean, I literally, broke down. I thought to myself, wow, that makes you feel useful, And I mean, the list goes on. Some people have left toxic situations because the song told them to, and they thanked me for the song, because they never would have left home if it wasn't for your song, and your song is nourishment to my soul. I mean, I've had other songs that have different kind of, because I tend to write in different sort of a variety of different sort of styles at times. And but anyway, I don't know. There's a part in the documentary where Sharon Stone says, she talks about me being magical. Well, I don't know. I mean, and having this ability to, when I'm in my mode of being magical, to just create. She said, I've watched him create, and I thought that was really interesting, because I can't watch myself create. I'm just doing it, And she said, there's a feeling he gets when you're around him and he does this. And I'm going like, wow, I don't know what that is, other than the fact that I'm, So,
but you must know what it is, though, because if you have this music that's coming through you, and by the way, how blessed it is other people are to have that connection with you, that you're connected, and that's such a powerful thing, like to have that kind of come through you, and then be able to create something so impactful and so purposeful. You've got to feel that. You've got to feel that kind of biofeedback, if you like. Yeah.
I think that what I feel about, there's the intimate moment of writing music, and then there's the going out and performing it, which are two different things, because you're in an enclosed situation with you, yourself, and me, meaning me, myself, and I. And you're doing, you're just in the moment of that. And then when you go out and perform to to a full-on house, you become, I become this whole other thing, and it's very different, because there's about 5 different things going on as a performer, remembering your own words, or worrying that you're going to slip up here and there, or you know, there's so many things. But then you're in the moment of it all, and you know, it's again kind of like you're conscious of it, and then there's this other thing just you know, pushing you through. You know.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because I've said many times as well, even with what we do, people don't get to see what goes on to get to that final bit. And it's not a performance, because I feel like we don't perform, because everything that we do here ripples all the way through us as well. And it's not even for an end result. It's to be in that moment where you're doing something special and unique and different for other people. But it's like you've touched on so many things, which I could have had 1,000 conversations with you about, like identity and the many different hats that you need to put on to be that one person. And even when you talk about past lives and different lives, you're almost living in that time and space, like five different versions of yourself, but keeping yourself all together. That's a lot for one person, like, and for the length of time that you've done it for as well, G. I mean, kudos to you. But you'd mentioned something, right? And I remember the very first time that I watched The Lost Boys, and like obviously I was starstruck with like Corey Haim. Loved the Corys, both Corys, loved them both. But the girl Star, like I was mesmerized by her, like her hair. Like, see how when you say, you know, you want to be like somebody, like I had this addiction to curly hair when I was younger. But the song that captured me during The Lost Boys was I Still Believe. Mm-hmm. Is it Capello? Yes. Right? It was just something about the saxophone and the, like, I still, but it's so motivational. What's that?
And that greased up body of Tim's.
Oh, you must watch that back and go, oh my Lord. But I love that
it's
song.
It's a good song. I mean, it's very interesting. That story is that Tim didn't write the song. There were two, I think there were two Brits that wrote it. I can't remember. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But they had written the song, and somehow or another it got into the director Joel Schumacher's hand. And he had seen Tim in the Mad Max video with Tina Turner, and he thought, wow. You know, I think he fancied him, actually. But he, knowing Joel the way I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big poster on him on the wall in his office. So I think it was a reminder that I've got to put this guy in the movie. So Tim brought a song in, and Joel said, no, you're not. That's not going to work. We have a song. I have a song for you to do, and it was I Still Believe. And Tim was a bit reluctant to do it. He said, no, it's not really me. But Joel, with his good sensibilities, which he, God rest his soul, he had such great sensibilities and timing, and he just was, he was genius, you know. Yeah. And God, and but I'm sorry I went over here. I Still Believe, but it's really a good song, and I think I got to appreciate it much later on, you know.
So it was interesting because that's what I was going to say about Cry Little Sister. So obviously it's not until I've aged like a fine wine and grown up a bit that there was a different connection with Cry Little Sister for me for when I was younger. So it's funny what you say when like it's perceptional or maybe situational, or maybe it's just an appreciation when you get older for different music, because it resonates at a different level now, so much more so now than what it did when I was younger. And like what you're saying, it might take for like different life experience and stuff like that for you to start to appreciate it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I it's interesting. Quiet Little Sister has a good deal of complexity to it, and yet it doesn't. And that was one of the things I felt really that was captured in how it all came together, because it's only 3 chords in the chorus, and it's one real kind of chord, one sort of chord going to the second chord in the verses, but they're not your pedestrian kind of chords either, and the whole idea was to sort of depart from it being that typical. It could have gone down, that road, and then, I feel that it more of my favorite songs that I've written, and songs that I admire, come from a very subtle complexity, where they are complex, If I Ever Lose My Faith by Sting is one of those songs, where it's simple, but its complexities, when it goes to the modulation, it's like, something happened, but you really don't, but you just don't know. I'm at another level now, and we all try to write songs that have that ability. They can't all be like that, but we try to. It's called authenticity, to be authentic about what you're doing, and that's what I pride myself on doing. Not every time I go. I mean, there's things you just know that just got to be clearly rocked the fuck out, and so it's, but yeah, the interesting thing, the Kiss did a song of mine called "Is That You," which was a very throwaway song for me, because I shouldn't say throwaway, but it was sort of like I was inspired by AC/DC to write this kind of thing. I thought, well, maybe I'll do that for myself. It was my first album. And the producer who was producing Kiss at the time came to my house because he wanted to get together with me too. He wanted to produce my album. And so I was, as you do when you're with a producer, as a young lad that I was, and I played him everything, and he said, and I said, I don't know. And I said, I don't know if this song's really right for me. It doesn't really work with the thread of other things I'm doing. And he said, well, if you don't want to do that, I'd love to show it to Kiss. And I'm going like, why would you do that? I mean, it's like they write their own songs. They've never done any, and they ended up recording it because they needed a hit, so to speak. And, but yeah, and it was quite interesting hearing them sort of take the song and really banging it up the way it should be, And they needed a hit, and they got one.
Yeah, good. So when you talk about inspiration, G-Tom, right? So what was the inspiration behind Cry Little Sister? Was there anything that kind of was your muse that made you go, or what was the process that you went through to connect with that?
Part of it, on the lyric or on the music itself?
On the music.
Oh, I think that basically happened one morning when I just read the script the night before. I'd gotten the script the day before I started to write it, and I read it that night, and I thought, wow, this is very, very cool. I love it when horror and humor meet in the middle, and it didn't take itself too seriously, and I thought, this is great. And so, not seeing a frame of footage, I was just going by my own imagination as to what it would look like. And got up the next day. I had my guitar, my piano, and it was just in New York, by the way. And I got up and started mucking about with the piano and just seeing, and then the guitar. It kept going back and forth, and then finally got something. And then I went up to my studio, which is a bit uptown from my place in the Village, and the Village in New York. And my mate, Michael, who's a really great jazz musician, he was doing this, hearing this pounding sound. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Bloody hell, that sounds cool. And I said, what is that? And he said, because we had just gotten this instrument called a synclavier, which was, it was like it was the instrument back then. There was not that made, and you could combine all these different sounds. You could load things into it, and it was, you could really create sounds. And I heard the sound, I thought, mate, that's really, he said, I'm just mucking, he didn't say mucking about, but he just said, I said, I'd like to take that away and just go into my studio and work around that. So did that. And honestly, that particular sound really kind of helped move it along, with this sort of.
I can hear it. I can hear it even as you just say that. It's going through my head.
I honestly, I said to him, later on, he came into the room. He said, "Wow, this is sounding really good, man." And I said, and then he and I ended up being, I wrote the song and then ended up producing the track together. We worked on it. Mike, coming from the jazz world, was a completely different thing, but he was brilliant, and he really took to where I was going with it, and it was a great sounding board, into, having, there's something about music. I mean, certainly there are purists in jazz music, but Miles Davis loved John Lennon. He would love other, so in music, if you can be that jazz musician. I'm not listening to anything else but this, because this is God's land right here, jazz music. And I was, I've never been locked into anything, and I tend to be my mates that are musicians. A lot of them are just very much wide open and letting that spirit come in the right way,
Yeah. And I think that's it for me. It's when you are that wide open. A lot of what we struggle with within the communities that we're in just now is the disassociation or the disconnection from yourself. You've got to feel it. And for me, that's what sound and music does. It's like, it's a feeling, it's emotion, it ripples through your cells. So, Tom, so when we get into the frequency of it all, because music is it's more than notes and it's more than rhythm. It's a vibration for me. It's an energy. So is there any particular sound or frequency that lights you up wherever you go?
What is that lifts me up?
Is there any particular sound or frequency that lights you up?
Besides the latte in the morning.
Besides that, yeah.
I don't get it. I get up and have my coffee right away. I go off to the gym or go take a run or whatever. Yeah. But what lifts me up, I get really inspired by looking at art, really authentic, anytime I'm in a rut, that's one thing. I go to galleries or go to a museum and just sort of take that in, because that, to me, is a spiritual experience in itself.
Yeah.
And I've always been very visual about anybody else's music. Just something like this whole little mood. It's got a color to it. It's got actual. So I get inspired by listening to other pieces of music, but it just comes in so many different ways. I feel that's the wonderful thing about living in this lifetime, is that I get to experience inspiration that I don't know yet. I can't explain it other than the fact if I see a great piece of poetry or a book or something that just like takes it over to the other side, as opposed to just being in the mundane. And not that I'm not above it all, but just I like things that expand my thinking, and especially film. I've always, films that or that make you think and make you feel.
Yeah.
And there could be one bit in the film that it just takes it over the top, that you just get a piece of inspiration from. But yeah, I'm very much a channeler, you know.
Yeah.
My thing is, I do believe, you know, I believe in just taking things in and never taking anything for granted.
Yeah.
Because that's
So,
what we do best at, not taking things for granted. Once you get rid of that and you just know that there's a purpose ongoing, that's when any of the arts thrive. And that's when, certainly for myself, I know my music thrives by being available to do my human thing.
yeah, that's nice.
So there.
And unavailable to do your human thing. I like that.
Yeah, well, it is unavailable. There's a lot of unavailable these days.
Oh, I know. So if I'm hearing you right, like you just walked me through a process there. Like if you're listening to a piece of music, do you then, the expansion that comes from that, like you could visualize like a certain color or a scene or something, like, is that the way that it resonates with you?
Yeah.
Or even if you're looking at a piece of art, you could then think about a musical note that would go with something that you're looking at.
You know, I love what that is, almost in a question, but I got the example of Cry Little Sister, going back to that, since we've been talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean, and this goes on with several. When I do songs for a film, I never want to write the script because it's already been written. So you know how there can be songs. By the way, there are songs that should be spot on, like Footloose. I mean, that needed to be that. I'm not saying.
I love that
but
song.
at the time, I mean, people always ask me, "What's the lyric about in Cry Little Sister?" Well, it's finding your family that's outside your blood family is the best thing I can say, because that's, you know, and it's, you know, I sort of went the Edgar Allan Poe kind of vibe with where the lyric was going, you know, because it had this sense of poeticness to it, and that it created images outside the film, you know, Blue Masquerade, Strangers Look On. It's like we're, you know, it's that thing where if you have any bit of uniqueness to the way you look or the way you carry yourself, people look on and go like, oh, that's weird. You know, that's, you know, thank God it's weird, because that's what pushes people to get into another. And I tried to ride the peripheral of the film, and that's really lyrically speaking. And the lyrics are just images of, you know, there's never once where I was really going like, okay, it's vampire time. You know, it was really writing. It's nothing to do. It has everything to do with immortality and mortal. And that's what was a wonderful thing to be able to tap into in a poetic way in that song. And, you know, it's interesting. Sometimes you go back and you look at the lyrics you write, and I'm really proud of that one, because it has become sort of an anthemic thing. I mean, it's been covered by so many people.
Yeah.
And I never would have thought in a million years that it would become, that would be that, have that magnitude in just this globalization of a piece of music. But I am making Cry Little Sister the rock musical. And it's sort of like, you know, a couple of the people I respect in the music, or rather in the film industry, said, boy, you should do that, because it's like what Wicked did to the Wizard of Oz, you know. And I thought, when I saw the play, I said, you know, that's an interesting way to go about in doing. When I saw the play years ago, but I didn't think about it then. It wasn't until recently I started. Recently, within the last year, started writing down ideas and how to make it a girl power, woman power kind of vibe, where it has, you know, you go back and you look at the greats of even Cleopatra or Joan of Arc. You have all these little templates to choose to
Tune
take it
into. Yeah.
and make it where it's not like in your face girl power, but having a sense of just sort of the power of women and what I mean that's what else, you know.
The sovereignty of being a woman. It's there's a subtlety. It's not an in your face kind of thing. It's more just we're magic on legs. Gee.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so I'm conscious of time as well, and I wanted to touch on something else with you. So music, like the gift of music, the power of music. Sound is healing. There's an up and coming trend in the world, and a lot of people are moving more towards kind of like certain hertz, using different tools like gongs and sound bowls and crystal bowls and crystals and stuff like that, and really tapping into the sound as a healing, or a method to heal, if you like. So the whole idea behind that is sound being a frequency, and you're obviously in the industry, you know that it has the power to shift energy. But what's your take on the up and coming trend and these different kind of instruments? Is that something that you've ever tried?
You mean
a sound bath, or working with gongs and crystal bowls and rainmakers and stuff?
You mean,
is that something you've ever played with?
You cut out just a little bit, but I think I'll get the gist of it. Are you talking about when you said something about a lot of people wanting to, you know, pay attention to the charts and being like wanting to have a career that is more that kind? Is that what you were saying?
No. So what I'm saying is there's no, that's fine. There's an up and coming trend, if you like, where people are now looking at sound for healing and not necessarily for chart music or for entertainment purposes.
Okay.
So it's more working with kind of gongs, rainmakers, crystal bowls, like ecstatic dance and stuff like that. So I was just interested, is that anything, and you'll laugh, but is that anything that you've ever tried? Like a sound bath? Have you tried that?
I'm forever trying things that are just I'm just a wide peripheral guy, you know what I mean? I don't have any I think it all what you have to do, what one has to do is just to make that really something that really, whatever those bells and tubes and things that you can do to create a sense of connection, which is always what is the key thing to me. And I think that once you, in going down in those experimental road of doing such, you tap into something. And I love it when all is agreed upon within the souls of people, where you finally find a sound and it has this dynamic to it, and it flows in and there's a structure. And then sometimes it doesn't have to be a structure. It can just be like John Coltrane, or, just doing, a Love Supreme or something like that, where it's just like all over the place. But then in some ways, the brilliance of what those sounds are, it just makes you feel something. Chaotic sometimes can really be, and I'm talking about, you can be mellow chaotic, But I like it a bit more. For me, I like it to be, as Billy Bob Thornton once said to me, so, watching you is like, you're a perfectionist, you're the perfectionist imperfectionist. And I'm going, yeah, that is what I am. She said, and I said, well, tell me what you think about that. And he said, well, you create these things that sound perfect, but then you want some chaos in there as well. And I'm going, absolutely. You want to get married? Didn't hear that. And he said, no, I've already got a wife.
Yeah.
You have to watch he's got a wonderful new series called Landman. And if you get a chance to watch it, it's so good. It's just about an oil it's about a guy that works for a very well-to-do oil man in Texas, and he's basically been up, down, and all around with his family, but it's such a great performance and just such a great series. Anyway, I had to give my friend Billy a plug.
Yeah, you did. Thank you. And I'm going to give one of my friends a plug. And we had Janine on there, like speaking about like music and lyrics. It literally has the ability to save lives. I had an experience, and the reason I was asking you as well, I've got a sound dealer. Her name's Pam Sanders, and this woman, like how she connects with her instruments, like absolutely blows my mind. And that's what we're saying as well. It's like, but it has the ability to pull you and suck you right in and literally spit you back out, like just dependent on certain instruments that you're using. It completely changes like the whole experience. And that was really just in a sound bath. So moving away for like concert and music and gigs for like entertainment purposes, it's more like for healing trauma.
You know what we're doing over here? I mean, what I'm doing. I've been you probably have them over there, these candlelight.
I've been to one. Yeah.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Hans Zimmer.
I'm really keen on, we've just been talking about doing that, my manager and myself. And I'd really like to do that and create a whole thing musically with that, you know?
That would be amazing.
And so, yeah, I think that there's something really that can, it's got a sense of being soothing, but at the same time, recognize, recognizing the depths of what our souls are and how we connect. And, it's not like new agey or anything like, I mean, I think that it's important to feel the depths of every emotion that we've got going on. And the way you do that is bringing people together, and they can figure, not everybody's feelings are going to be the same, but if you can find that little thing to tap into where everybody goes, no, yes, this is good. This is, everybody is connected on, And I think that that's something I'm, going to embark on a global level. I'd like to be doing that.
Yeah. So globally, when's the next time that you're over here? Are you in Scotland anytime soon?
I'm coming over. There's a show. I was just over there. When was I there? Was I there in March or something? I played a show in Manchester. Could have been in March. I'm coming back over, I think in September. Yeah. Okay. But late August into September, because we're doing the continuation of more filming for the documentary. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, and I think that there's some shows being set up. I think I've been to Midlands actually, sometime in September. I have to look at the diary, but yeah, be back over sometime around that area.
Cool. So, well, we would love. I would love to keep in touch with you, G, especially as you come over here to the UK, and you are more than welcome to come to the hub and maybe try out one of our sound baths that we offer here as well.
Yeah. Yes, our boy Kev was talking about.
He was.
How many? So when you do these things, what is the sort of? Have you built it now over the years? Is this something that you've done a few times?
So sound is something that I'm just tapping into, but I have the hub. So I have a place, and I pull in different people with different skill sets to bring different experiences for people. So the girl that comes and does the sound baths here is Pam Sanders. And it's something, that she's lived with music for quite some time, and it's been the thing that's really helped her through a lot of tough times in her life. But I think we've lost G. Yeah, he's cut off. So yeah, guys, so I think that was G-Tom Mac, music mogul and producer, Cry Little Sister. So if you've not seen it yet, the movie is The Lost Boys, and the track is Cry Little Sister. So G-Tom, as he said, will be back in the UK, and he does some gigs up and down the country and stuff like that as well. And hopefully one time we'll get him here in Scotland. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, and thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a really good evening. Thank you.